It's been 2 decades since one of the most infamous incidents in football history occurred in the dressing room of Manchester United following a 2003 FA Cup match against Arsenal. The night is remembered for many reasons, but perhaps the most striking event was when Sir Alex Ferguson, the iconic manager of Manchester United, kicked a boot that struck David Beckham just above the eye, an act that would spark a series of rumors and speculations about the relationship between the two and ultimately lead to Beckham's departure from the club. David Beckham and Sir Alex Ferguson were both monumental figures at Manchester United and in English football. Beckham had become a global star by this point, a marketing phenomenon whose face was plastered on billboards worldwide, while Ferguson was a revered manager, synonymous with Manchester United's dominance in English football during the 1990s and early 2000s. Both were legends in their own right, but in the heat of the moment that night, two of football's biggest icons would have their careers and reputations forever linked by a controversial altercation. The scene was set on January 25, 2003, after Manchester United had been knocked out of the FA Cup by Arsenal, losing 2-0. Ryan Giggs had missed a glorious early chance to put United ahead, and within minutes they found themselves trailing. The match was frustrating from the start, and United's failure to capitalize on key opportunities was a bitter blow. Ferguson, known for his fierce competitive spirit, entered the dressing room visibly upset. His anger wasn't just about the loss. It was fueled by what he perceived as a lack of commitment from his players, particularly David Beckham. At the time, Beckham's dedication to the club had been under scrutiny, with rumors circulating about his potential departure to Real Madrid, adding further tension to the already heated environment. Beckham, now reflecting on the incident, has been consistent in describing the event as a freak accident. According to Beckham, after the match, Ferguson was upset with the team's performance and directed some harsh words at him. He explains that Ferguson walked toward him and, in a fit of anger, kicked a boot that had been discarded on the floor. Beckham says the boot hit him squarely in the face, but he maintains that the whole thing was an accident. It was blown up out of all proportion, Beckham said later, claiming that what happened in the dressing room was a minor event that was quickly forgotten by him and the team. For Beckham, the boot incident was just another in a long line of media-driven exaggerations, something blown out of proportion by the press, as had often been the case throughout his career. Ferguson, however, has a very different recollection of what occurred. In his autobiography, Ferguson recalls the event as a deliberate action on his part, and he believes it was the final straw in a series of frustrations with Beckham's behavior. Ferguson writes that Beckham's work rate had started to drop off, and there were growing rumors about Beckham's future, particularly about a potential move to Real Madrid. Ferguson claims that he walked into the dressing room after the game, where Beckham was near a pile of boots. According to Ferguson, Beckham was swearing, and he felt compelled to take action. "I moved towards him, and as I approached, I kicked a boot. It hit him right above the eye," Ferguson wrote. For Ferguson, the boot incident wasn't just a momentary lapse in control. It symbolized Beckham's declining commitment to Manchester United. Ferguson believed the incident confirmed his growing concerns that Beckham had become a distraction. His frustrations went beyond the physical altercation. It was a culmination of what Ferguson saw as Beckham's increasing focus on off-field fame, which he felt undermined the team's success. The once strong relationship between manager and player began to break down, and Ferguson became convinced that Beckham's time at United was coming to an end, marking the beginning of his eventual departure from the club. Yet, as in any such situation, the truth is rarely so straightforward. Both men were key figures in one of the most successful eras in Manchester United's history, and their egos and perspectives were naturally at odds. Beckham's version of the events has been consistently that it was a freak accident, something that, in his mind, was quickly brushed under the carpet. But Ferguson, known for his strong personality and no-nonsense attitude, viewed it as an act of defiance that symbolized a deeper issue. For him, it wasn't just about the boot or the missed passes, but rather the shift in Beckham's attitude and commitment to the team. It's easy to get caught up in the contrasting accounts of Beckham and Ferguson, but perhaps the most revealing perspectives come from those who were present in the dressing room. Diego Forlan, who played for Manchester United at the time, offered an insider's view of the altercation. He recalls the tension in the locker room after the game, noting that Ferguson and Beckham exchanged harsh words, insults flying back and forth. Forlan remembers that the verbal exchange was intense, but when Beckham made one final remark, Ferguson reacted by kicking a boot in his direction. The boot hit Beckham above the eye, causing the wound that would later become so symbolic. Forlan's account lines up with Beckham's in that the incident seemed to have been a spur-of-the-moment reaction, with both men seemingly ready to fight until Roy Keane and Ruud van Nistelrooy intervened to prevent things from escalating further. Carlos Queiroz, who was Ferguson's assistant at the time, has also weighed in on the incident. Known for his more laid-back approach, Queiroz offered a slightly more sympathetic take on the situation. According to him, the incident was nothing more than a freak accident, albeit one that escalated due to unfortunate timing. Someone once told me that if he had intended to hit Beckham with that boot, Sir Alex's left foot must be real quality, Queiroz joked in an interview years later. He explained that the boot had first hit a table before landing in Beckham's direction, meaning it wasn't as intentional as Ferguson might have suggested. For Queiroz, the entire episode was just a case of bad luck, a series of unfortunate events that spiraled out of control. Despite the differing accounts, what is clear is that the boot incident became a flashpoint in Beckham's career. It wasn't just about the injury or the confrontation. It was a reflection of the growing tensions between Beckham and Ferguson. Beckham, by this point, had become one of the world's most recognizable athletes, and his off-field fame often seemed to overshadow his contributions on the pitch. Ferguson, on the other hand, was a manager who demanded absolute focus from his players. The boot incident, whether intentional or accidental, symbolized the breakdown of their relationship, a split that had been brewing for some time. In the months following the incident, rumors continued to swirl about Beckham's future at Manchester United. Ferguson, ever the authoritarian, made it clear that Beckham's time at the club was drawing to a close. By the summer of 2003, Beckham was transferred to Real Madrid, a move that shocked many but was seen as the inevitable conclusion of a fractured relationship. The fallout from the boot incident remains a defining moment in the history of Manchester United. It marked the end of an era, signaling the departure of one of the club's greatest ever players. For Beckham, it was the end of a chapter that had defined his early career, while for Ferguson, it reinforced his belief in maintaining control over his squad, no matter how big the personalities. It was a reminder that even the most successful and revered figures in football are not immune to the pressures and egos that come with being at the top. Looking back, it is clear that the boot incident was more than just a physical altercation. It was a symbol of the shifting dynamics within Manchester United, a clash of personalities, and a sign that even the most legendary relationships in football can reach a breaking point. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions to improve the channel, feel free to leave them in the comment box. Don't forget to like and subscribe.